But do you recall the most famous reindeer of all?
Fine.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had a very shiny nose.
Ever since I put Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on my list of most hated Christmas songs a few years ago, I've had a few people say I was too harsh to it and that I couldn't just listen to the song. I also had to watch the TV special to understand it. Funny, I could have sworn I addressed this in the video.
And since that continues to receive airplay on the radio outside of the context of the special, it's hard for me to think of them as part of the same entity. Not to mention that the song was released a full 15 years before the special came out in '64. They are two separate things!
But, okay. There has to be a reason this marketing mascot turned beloved Christmas icon continues to capture the hearts of millions. Problem is, I don't know which special to watch. There are a lot of them, spanning different lengths, decades, and animation styles. So, rather than just watching one Rudolph special, I figured why not watch them all? First, let's go all the way back to the very beginning, Rudolph's first venture into animation. That's right, I'm talking about the 1948 short film. Yes indeed, 16 years before the classic Rankin Bass TV special, Rudolph's first film appearance was in this 8-minute short from 1948. It also came out a year before the song was released, so the song notably doesn't appear in it. This short was directed by animation pioneer Max Fleischer, best known for his work on Betty Boop, Popeye, and the 1940s Superman series. It's the basic Rudolph plot, adapted directly from the original story by Robert L. May. The reindeer are having a lot of fun doing all kinds of extreme winter sports!
Enjoying the spills of skating and coasting and climbing the willows and hopscotch and leapfrog, protected by pillows.
Oh, thanks for clarifying. I was definitely afraid these flying reindeer couldn't break their fall. Then they all start picking on Rudolph, not because of his red nose, but because he was hiding in the bushes and spying on the other reindeer like a creep. Also, is it just me, or does the reindeer's audio sound like it's from a completely different studio and decade?
Look, fellas, it's Rudolph. His nose is a sight. It's red as a beet.
Twice as big and twice as bright.
Jeez, there's so much reverb in their dialogue that it sounds like I was dubbing them at my old apartment. Now, while he was an animation pioneer, I'll admit that I'm not the biggest fan of Max Fleischer's style, particularly how slow the characters move sometimes and how their lip movements barely match with what they're actually saying.
Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donna, Blitzen.
I think it might be because he animated the characters first and added dialogue later instead of vice versa. It makes some of his work hard to watch. As it turns out, Santa is quite the reckless driver, swerving all over the place, crashing into stuff, risking the lives of his reindeer. Holy crap! He almost hit American Airlines Flight 11 over there! Strangely enough, in this special, the reindeer don't live with Santa at the North Pole, unlike the later specials where Santa, the elves, and the reindeer all live together. So, what's the deal with the 8 reindeer that Santa does have? Are they in the reindeer military or something? Is this their equivalent of being drafted to go to Nam? Well, apparently the draft comes early for young Rudolph.
I need you tonight to lead all my deer on the rest of our flight.
I'm gonna need you to drop some Agent Orange over a few acres of land. Shouldn't take long.
With Rudolph's red nose as a wonderful light, old Santa flew quickly the rest of the night.
Did Santa never think to put headlights on his sleigh? Not even fog lights, just plain headlights. I know technology was different in 1948, but come on. And just like that, everybody loves Rudolph now. They even fixed up the old Roman Colosseum.
The bad deer who used to do nothing but tease him? Well, now they'd do anything only to please him.
Ah yes, how does the meme go? Deviation from the norm will be punished unless it is exploitable. Yeah, sounds about right.
I hereby appoint you Commander-in-Chief.
Damn, can Santa do that? Just go against the entire voting population and every other branch of the government? My first exposures list short as a kid was on a Christmas edition of Disney's Sing-Along Songs, which uses clips from it over the Song of Rudolph. That tape also had a version of Silent Night that used footage from the Night on Bald Mountain segment of Fantasia. No kidding. I'm not sure if I'd call that segment silent. Did we watch the same movie, Disney? Or is it Disney? Welp,
Disney? That's a weird name, dude.
Because this was the era where people would record stuff on tape and would often put multiple things on the same tape to save space, my parents' copy of Disney's Christmas sing-alongs also came with Michelangelo Antonioni's Zabriskie Point, a movie with a 7-minute scene of hippies having a giant orgy in the desert. What the hell, Mom and Dad? You guys had better be glad that young spaceman never watched past the closing credits of this thing.
Although, Zabriskie Point did have Pink Floyd and the Grateful Dead on the soundtrack. Maybe they just wanted to introduce me to great music from an early age?
But that's not what most people think of when they think of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. For that, we have to skip ahead a few decades. Play the clip.
Why weren't you at elf practice?
Rankin Bass's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer from 1964. Let's be honest, everyone's seen this special, whether on home video or through constantly airing on TV during the holiday season. I'm pretty sure even non-Christians know about this special through pop culture osmosis alone.
It's super jarring how it starts with live-action footage. I always forget about it because it only takes up a few seconds in the opening. The narrator is Sam the Snowman, voiced by Burl Ives, and can I just say, I love Sam as a character.
Oh, excuse me. Call me Sam. What's the matter? Haven't you ever seen a talking snowman before?
Narrator characters can be hit or miss in animated movies, but Sam is an example of it done well. Between Ives' voice performance and Sam's kindly nature, he just really works as a narrator.
One character who notoriously isn't as kindly is Santa, and I honestly love how he's depicted as a tired asshole. You didn't really see the darker side of Santa before this special aired.
I'll have to take this suit in. Eat.
I'm busy, Mama. It's almost Christmas.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, copyright 1164. There's a popular urban legend that the filmmakers messing up the copyright year in the Roman numerals led to the special ascending to the public domain earlier, hence why it's played on TV so frequently. Given that It's a Wonderful Life is actually popular on TV because it's in the public domain, I was tempted to believe it. But from what I can tell, that urban legend is just that, an urban legend. In this special, Rudolph's parents are Donner and Mrs. Donner. Yeah, they didn't give her a name. What'd you expect? It was 64, women's lib wasn't mainstream yet. Do you really think they'd let Rudolph's mom have a name of her own? Shame on you. Donner is also quite possibly the worst dad in all of Christmas media. Rudolph was just born, literally just popped out of the womb, and he's already judging. At least Mrs. Donner is giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, we'll simply have to overlook it.
Now, how can you overlook that? His beak blinks like a blinking beacon.
Yeah, considering that Rudolph was just born, I'm surprised he isn't more red with blood and placenta and all that.
There's also the B-plot following an elf named Hermie, who was raised and trained to be an assassin, but doesn't want to because she wants to be a hero. So she becomes an outcast from her group and eventually joins another group of outcasts in a dangerous quest across a frozen tundra.
Wait, sorry, that was Rayla from the Dragon Prince. Let's try again.
Hermie was raised and trained to make toys for Santa, but doesn't want to because he wants to be a dentist. So he becomes an outcast from his group and eventually joins another group of outcasts in a dangerous quest across a frozen tundra.
There, completely different.
I'd like to be a dentist.
A dentist?
Given that you're living in the North Pole and your diet probably consists of peppermint and chocolate, I think a dentist would be very necessary.
Surely not all the elves make toys, right? I mean, where's the elf who keeps track of the inventory? Where's the elf on quality control? Where's the elf in charge of the HR department? Or ER for elf relations.
Ah, who am I kidding? They don't even have dental, so they probably don't have an HR department.
They don't even have dental.
This all comes to a head when Hermie misses the big music recital for Santa. Not that Santa would be impressed either way. Seriously, look at him! He doesn't give a crap. He's done before it even starts.
Well, let's get this over with. I have to go down and look over the new deer.
Can you make this quick? I have real places to be with people who matter.
I'm surprised more people on the internet don't view this exhausted dickhead depiction of Santa as #relatable. Hey, if it can happen to the Grinch and Dan from Dan Versus, surely Santa isn't out of the question. And here comes the money clip.
Why weren't you at elf practice?
This became a meme for a while. I'm not entirely sure why. I'm still not sure why, even after I made my own version of it with characters from The Dragon Prince, a meme that actually caught the attention of the creators of The Dragon Prince.
Why am I finding so many parallels between Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Dragon Prince? That's gotta be weird, right?
I don't know why the elf practice line became a meme when anything else the head elf says could just as easily be memed.
I just don't like to make toys.
No, well, if that's all. What?
Seriously, he shouts all his lines in the most over-the-top way possible. He's like the Brian Blessed of elves. Interestingly, there's been speculation over the years that Hermie is gay. Obviously, they couldn't say he was at the time, since, 1964, but he's often been seen as a gay figure due to his mannerisms and his arc paralleling that of a coming-out story. If you think about it, the special's entire theme of social ostracism is very relevant to struggles faced by the LGBT+ community. In a way, this is the gayest classic Christmas special.
What? I'm right, ain't I?
Also, the abominable snow monster is in this. He's there.
Most important of all, he taught his son to beware of the abominable snow monster of the north.
Apparently a lot of people found this creature scary when they were kids. I live in a world where merch of the Abominable as a cute finger-sized plushie has existed for years, so I never found him that scary. I'm more distracted by his changes in size. When he first appears, he's shown to be massive, like a kaiju, but then later on, he's just a tall guy. He fits through the doors built for elves. The real shock is that Yetis are apparently shapeshifters. Now, part of me was willing to forgive the other reindeer in the song for bullying Rudolph, since the implication is that they're kids, and we all know that kids are little bastards. But here, the adults are just as bad! Look at Donner, who actively tries to hide Rudolph's nose.
There are more important things than comfort. Self-respect. Santa can't object to you now.
That's not what self-respect means, you dummy. Comet is just as much of a dick. He's the one who doesn't let Rudolph play any reindeer games. And I'm not even gonna talk about Santa seeing all the open corruption and not doing a thing about it, because, again, Santa doesn't give a crap. The only reindeer who cares about Rudolph is Clarice, his love interest.
I think you're cute.
Magnificent!
Now, if you could try it again without jizzing over everyone, that would be great, right? Right.
Clarice sings There's Always Tomorrow, which I always found to be a beautiful and touching song when I was a kid. It can even pull some heartstrings today.
There's always tomorrow.
I just realized I haven't talked much about the soundtrack list thing. Mainly because every song has become a holiday staple. Jingle, 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 We Are Santa's Elves, Silver and Gold, The Most Wonderful Day of the Year, A Holly Jolly Christmas, all of them. Johnny Marks, who wrote the original Rudolph song, as well as other hits like Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree and Run Rudolph Run, wrote the score for this special. Ironically, despite being best known for writing Christmas songs, Marks himself was Jewish. Now, I do want to talk a little about the song that Rudolph and Hermie sing after they first meet. See, I didn't know this, but this song changed. In the original special from 1964, they sing We're a Couple of Misfits.
We're a couple of misfits. We're a couple of misfits.
Although, neither of them look anything like Glenn Danzig, but I'll let it slide for now. God, can you imagine the Misfits doing this song? There's a cover I want to hear. Now, this is the version that I saw as a kid, since it was on the home video release. But that's not the one everyone saw. Like a lot of old movies, there are multiple different cuts, and the original one that aired is lost forever. The original special ended with Santa and the elves dropping gifts over the world, but apparently fans were upset that Santa never visited the island of Misfit toys to give the toys new homes, so after a massive letter-writing campaign, they added a scene where he visits the island of Misfit toys. I somehow can't imagine there being a huge public outcry over a harmless Christmas special. Because of this new scene, they had to trim a few other scenes, so We're a Couple of Misfits was replaced with the shorter new song, Fame and Fortune.
Fame and fortune, fame and fortune.
I'd never heard this song, and if you're young like me, you may have never heard it either, because later reruns switched it back to We're a Couple of Misfits. But here's the weird thing, they used the visuals from Fame and Fortune.
We're a couple of misfits. We're a couple of misfits.
What the hell? Not only is this a glaring oversight, it's an oversight that lasted for years. This version started airing in 2005. I get that it's a Rankin Bass Christmas special, so you probably don't care that much, but come on, man. There are thousands of kids watching this each year. You should at least care more than Santa. Whatever. They also meet Yukon Cornelius. He's pretty cool. Oh, and in case you forgot this was made in the 60s, casual sexism.
Mrs. Donner wanted to go along, naturally, but Donner said, "No, this is man's work."
Now get back to the kitchen, wench.
It doesn't matter, since she and Clarice immediately say screw that and head out anyway. Meanwhile, Rudolph and company arrive at the island of Misfit Toys.
My name is...
Don't tell me. Jack.
No, Charlie. No child wants to play with a Charlie in the box.
So, change your name to Jack.
If it matters that much, just change it. This is entirely under your control. Friggin' Charlie, why is his name that?
Or a cowboy who rides an ostrich.
So you're just a guy then. Again, this really feels like a you problem.
Or a water pistol that shoots jelly.
So replace a jelly with water. Again, this was your decision to fill your hole with jelly.
Well, I won't say anything about that.
Some of them do have real problems, though, like the train with square wheels, or the boat that can't float, or this bird that swims instead of flying. We'll get back to him. There was apparently a lot of mystery about why this doll was among the others, since she doesn't have any physical differences that make her a misfit. Amusingly, Arthur Rankin Jr. put the mystery to rest years later by saying she just had depression.
According to Mr. Rankin himself, what was she doing there? She had, quote, psychological problems. Arthur Rankin Jr. in a more recent interview explained, quote, she was cast off by her mistress and clinically depressed, and they didn't have Prozac back then.
I always say, well, she had psychiatric problems. She was under the care of an analyst. I don't know.
Well, damn, that's surprisingly dark and surprisingly relatable for 1964. Good job!
Well, you'd have to get permission from King Moonracer. He's holding court in his castle right now.
A suspiciously empty court he's got there, eh? Couldn't have afforded a few Star Wars cutout men to stand in the background? Not like there'd be much motion involved. Hey, I recognize this guy. I'm pretty sure he modeled for Queen's logo. Well, time passes, though it's kinda left unclear how much time has passed. Rudolph is noticeably taller and has antlers now, so it could have been years.
They've been gone for months, out looking for you.
Ah, so it was only months. Right, I guess reindeer age faster than humans.
But wait, how much time passed before they started looking? And why didn't Santa help them? What exactly is the extent of his sees you when you're sleeping, knows when you're awake abilities anyway? Couldn't he have just used those to help? Lazy bastard.
The storm hits, and poor Rudolph. He's stuck out there all alone, looking for his parents, and all he has for company is an emo prince carrying a kid with a glowing arrow on his head. His parents spent months looking for him. How will he ever find them in wait, there they are. Yukon and Hermie come back, and they trick the Abominable with the worst pig impression I've ever heard.
Oink, 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 oink.
Then they knock him out with a rock, and Hermie pulls all of his teeth.
I tell you, you're looking at a mighty humble bumble.
I fail to see how this solves anything.
He's still huge, and has proven that he is capable of hitting you over the head with rocks. All you've essentially done is robbed him of the ability to eat, so best case scenario, he'll slowly starve to death. Also, he stole Hermie's mouth.
Don't let this big blowhard scare you anymore. Just walk right past him.
He took my mouth, Rudolph, after I took his teeth. Can't have shit in Detroit.
Everyone pokes fun at the animation in this special, but honestly, it's really well done. Rankin Bass employed the Japanese studio MOM Production for their stop-motion films and specials, and I really feel like they get overlooked for their work. Sure, it's a little janky and there are a few animation errors, but as someone who used to make stop-motion videos years ago, the amount of care that must have gone into animating each model at even this level of quality is insane, particularly for 1964. Bennett the Sage recently made a video about MOM production and the history of Japanese stop-motion, if you're interested in learning more about them. Before the rise of companies like Aardman and Leica, MOM was an early gold standard for stop-motion. There is one scene I legitimately love, and it's after Rudolph returns.
They start to realize, maybe, they were a little hard on the misfits.
All right, you can open up a dentist office next week after Christmas.
And I'm sorry too, Rudolph, for the way I acted.
This scene is short, but it fixes the biggest issue that I have with the song. The reindeer didn't like him until he was useful to them. That's kind of a bad message. The other way of interpreting this is that the other reindeer hated him until Santa said that he liked Rudolph and asked for Rudolph's help, and then, realizing their boss liked Rudolph, they pretended to like him to get on better terms with Santa. But that's also really bad. I'm not the only one who thought this. The year after I made that video, this observation blew up online to the point of showing up on mainstream news sites and getting attention from public figures on all ends of the political spectrum.
They're saying that Santa is using Rudolph for his nose.
I would say that it's more relevant now than ever because there is so much bullying going on. But I mean, it's all reconciled.
They realize he is special. He is who he is for a reason. Right. And he becomes the hero. Where's the problem? Right.
The fact that Academy Award-winning actress Whoopi Goldberg is talking about the 1964 Rudolph is hilarious to me, for reasons you'll find out later.
Like, true story, back in October, I went to see poet-activist Nikki Giovanni at the Virginia Film Festival, where she presented Going to Mars, the documentary made about her. And no joke, even she brought up this observation about the song. And it wasn't even Halloween yet!
Meanwhile, here, they apologize to him well before the storm becomes a major issue, and before they knew they'd need Rudolph to help guide the sleigh. The special makes it clear that everyone feels awful about how they treated Rudolph and shows them apologizing, and this comes nearly 3 minutes before Santa asks the big question. It's like writer-director Romeo Muller went out of his way to fix the specific issue with the story and song. Even Santa apologizes.
Frankly, Rudolph, I don't give a damn about your nose, as long as you are still able to work the machines.
Then Yukon comes back with a Bumble, who has turned over a new leaf and now wants to help with Christmas. I'm sure you'll get a few good days out of him before he starves to death since you stole his teeth! But all is not well as Santa delivers the bad news.
The storm won't subside by tonight. We'll have to cancel Christmas.
Cancel Christmas? Impossible.
Hey, wait a minute. I thought the Grinch said that Christmas could still go on without gifts because the holiday isn't about the material trappings. Yet here, Santa can't deliver the gifts, so they have to cancel Christmas? What's up with that? Kind of a mixed message there, classic Christmas specials. Well, you all know how it ends. Santa asks Rudolph to guide his sleigh and they go off. Not sure why Donner is staying behind, since Santa said he needed Donner to pull the sleigh.
And without your father, I'll never be able to get my sleigh off the ground.
Friggin' liar! And it ends with the added scene of them delivering all the Misfit toys to new homes. With the one exception. Remember the bird that couldn't fly?
How would you like to be a bird that doesn't fly? I swim.
Well, check this out.
Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight?
Dude, what the hell? You just killed him! This has bothered me since I was a kid. It's not like the umbrellas would have realistically helped much anyway, but the bird explicitly said that he can't fly, and since the special is about acceptance of others' differences, I doubt that's something that would change. Maybe the guys who animated this later scene hadn't seen the original special and didn't realize the bird didn't fly, or maybe I'm just among very few who are annoyed by this, I don't know. All in all, despite its weird flaws and quirks, I'd say this special really holds up, a lot better than you might expect. It's a nice elaboration on the story, it has memorable characters and songs, good animation, and fixes most of my issues with the original plot. As far as Christmas specials go, I totally get why it's played every year and seen as a classic. Rudolph was so successful that it spawned multiple sequels, the first of which was Rudolph's Shiny New Year from 1976, starring Red Skeleton. Skeleton? Why is his name that? In Halloween 2 fashion, this special continues immediately after the original.
And it all began on that very same foggy night.
Although, neither Hermie nor Clarice appear in this special despite having huge roles in the first one. In fact, of the original cast, only Rudolph and Santa return, and both of them look very different. Santa no longer has the dot eyes he had in the first special, and Rudolph, why does he look like a kid again? At the end of the first special, he was clearly a fully grown reindeer, but here he looks tiny. And he's still voiced by Billy Richards, which implies that it's not a hard reboot. I get that it's probably for branding purposes, but there should at least be an explanation for why he looks that much younger, given that it supposedly takes place immediately after the original. But I digress. Santa receives some horrible news from Father Time.
The old year ends in a week, but this time, there may not be another year to follow. Happy, the baby New Year is missing.
Oh no, that's terrible news, and you can tell how bad it is by this elf who's just pleasantly smiling. Either that or he's currently zonked out on acid or something. Why is Santa sending Rudolph out on his own? Why not go with him? Does Rudolph even know what the baby New Year looks like? At least send Yukon Cornelius with him or something. Boy, this intro music sure sounds a lot more, how you say, American than the first special. Is it doubling as a 4th of July special? Nah, that's a different Rudolph sequel. Romeo Muller returns to write and direct this special, and Johnny Marks comes back for the music. In this special, the narrator is Father Time, voiced by Red Skeleton. Finally got it right! He sends General Ticker to join Rudolph, and... wait, now they're in the desert? But it was the middle of a snowstorm just a minute ago. What kind of messed up ecosystem is it that the desert is right next to a frozen tundra? Here, he meets the Great Quarter Past Five, this strange camel who helps him cross the desert. The hell? And now there's a giant vulture? I'm starting to realize why none of the other characters returned. We already have 5 new characters to deal with and we're not even 8 minutes in. They're finally at Father Time's palace. Oh, hang on, there's some text. Let me try to read it. Flash, Jimmy Schwab. Wait, I didn't catch that. Okay, it's back. Just caught a cold. Damn it, stop cutting away! Okay, last chance. Baby kangaroo was born in Osso. Screw this. Father Time sings a song about the passage of time, the moving finger writes, and it's honestly a pretty good song.
The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on.
Apparently the reason Baby New Year left is because, get this, he has big ears and everyone laughed at him. Sounds familiar? I'd leave too if I just popped out of the womb and everyone was already making fun of me. It turns out Happy ran off to the archipelago of last years, among which is apparently the movie 1 million years BC. Why does Rudolph need a boat? He can fly around the whole friggin' world in one day. Surely it would be faster to fly there. Maybe it's an excuse to give Red Skelton another song?
Walking's better than any play. Turn back a year.
Oh no, Rudolph is being attacked by Eon the Vulture. Maybe he'd have moved faster if he flew instead of riding this boat. But he's saved by a giant whale called Big Ben.
Climb inside. It's safe in there.
Nah, too easy.
Rudolph and Big Ben visit the island of 1 million BC, who is depicted as a caveman. Ooh, careful, you're implying the existence of evolution. Don't want to upset the fundamentalists. Then again, dinosaurs and humans also never lived at the same time.
Oh, did I say 1 million BC? Yeah, I meant the Flintstones. Easy mistake.
They go from island to island looking for Happy.
1893, never heard of him. 1492 was too busy discovering things to even talk to us. 1965 was too noisy.
Okay, I want to give credit to this joke, but I can't actually tell what being too noisy is referencing, so take your pick.
They arrive at the island 1023, where all the public domain fairy tales take place. Yeah, apparently every fairy tale takes place in 1023, even the ones that were written years afterwards.
Oh, and we're going to see all of them.
Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella, The Three Little Pigs, Humpty Dumpty, Rumpelstiltskin, Miss Muffet and the Spider, I guess.
Nobody was home inside, and there on the table he spied 3 bowls of porridge.
Oh my god, tell me we're not doing this right now.
The first was a little too hot. The second was too cold. The third was just right.
Oh ho ho, we doing this!
They literally tell the whole Goldilocks story with no variation apart from Happy taking Goldilocks' place. I'm not making this up.
Someone's been sitting in my chair.
And apparently Papa Bear is Scooby-Doo? What the hell, that's awesome!
No kidding, Papa Bear is voiced by Scooby-Doo's original voice actor, Don Messick. I'll say this, he does a more convincing voice performance than Red Skelton as Baby Bear.
Someone's been sitting in my chair, and it got broke. Somebody broke my chair.
Boy, for a baby bear, he sure sounds like a fully grown man.
Another mouth to feed?
Junior needs a friend.
I mean, come on, this is 1023. We can't exactly call any authorities if we find someone's baby. Of course, Happy's hat inevitably gets knocked off and everyone laughs at his ears. I don't think you're in any place to mock anyone for their physical differences when you guys appear to have creepy white eyelids under your eyelids. Oh no, Happy's been kidnapped. Surely now is the time to fly after him.
Come on! We can't let them out of our sight! Oh, I hope Big Ben can swim fast!
Oh, piss off!
Okay, well, what about now, when Happy falls from Eon's grip?
Oh, he fell off!
But suddenly a vagrant wind blew him out of sight.
Oh, he's lost again!
Really? Now isn't the time to fly? Not when he was plummeting to his death, nor when he got blown away and still could possibly die?
I have a question, Rudolph. Just a little question. If now isn't the time to use your amazing powers of flight, when is a good time?
What the hell? Of all the twists and turns in this special, I wasn't expecting it to be an adaptation of 1776. Maybe this version won't edit out cool, considerate men.
But you're welcome to join our big 4th of July celebration.
Oh yeah, I should probably explain all the America stuff in this special, huh?
In case you haven't put it together, this special, released in 1976, was meant to double as a celebration of America's bicentennial, and it's not subtle about it either. They have an island where every day is July 4th and whose leader looks like Benjamin Franklin.
Not that I have a problem with wanting to celebrate the bicentennial. Hey, credit to the US for lasting 200 years.
But whereas the first Rankin Bass special feels like it could be enjoyed by people of any country in any decade, this one feels very specifically catered towards Americans in 1976. But hey, at least they finally got the Star Wars cutouts I mentioned, a year before Star Wars came out at that. But when it comes time for everyone to take off their hats, well, you know the drill. And just like that, Eon has him again. So, now are you going to fly?
We must pursue them. Yes, we must after them to the ends of the earth till victory is ours.
Guess not. But at least we get Riddler actor Frank Gorshin hamming it up as Sir 1023.
Rudolph's nose lights the way, so at least they remembered some of his powers. Oh no, Eon is taking him to the island of no name. The only way you can get there is by riding a horse with no name. Too bad they left him back in the desert.
Far from the archipelago of last year's, due north of the North Pole.
Wait, more north than the North Pole? So it's south then. That's how it works. If you keep going north from the North Pole, you just go south. Or by due north of the North Pole, do they mean it's in space? Rudolph always was my favorite science fiction character. It's looking pretty hopeless for our heroes. Good thing Rudolph is there to sing an inspirational song.
Have a little faith in me, and day by day, I'll make your dreams all come true.
You know, Rudolph, maybe people would have more faith in you if you simply flew there and saved everyone some time. In fact, I'm level with you. None of this would have happened if you just flew from the beginning.
If you'd done that, maybe you and the others wouldn't have been buried in an avalanche. At least it gave us a nice effect when Rudolph melts his way out of the ice. He confronts Happy, and they get to talking about their similarities.
You mean you never heard about me?
Well, Rudolph was too modest to tell his own story.
Oh, thank God. We don't have to hear that story again.
Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen.
And never mind.
It's weird to see Rankin Bass's Rudolph in a different animation style. Almost as weird as seeing Frosty in stop motion, which is coming up. Well, surely after all of this, Rudolph will know better than to laugh at Happy's ears.
Wait, no, he laughed. Guess New Year's is cancelled. Good night, everybody!
Those ears made me feel so wonderful that all the happiness inside me just had to pop out. They make folks happy.
Oh, is that why people mock you for your differences? Well, that makes it okay then. But Rudolph has an idea. Weaponized laughter!
Those ears! Those ears! He laughed so hard that he laughed himself right out of his nest. He laughed right down the side of that mountain.
You think that's something? Just look at what it did to the German army.
In action, it was deadly.
But oh no, they're too late. If only they'd flown.
There must be some way to get back to Father Time's castle before the 12th bong.
Yeah, I've been suggesting one the whole time.
Or Santa can take him, that works too. Well, Baby New Year arrives on time, and it ends with him celebrating a new year that I'm sure won't be dated in the new millennium.
The new year, 19 Wonderful, had arrived.
Who am I kidding? The world will end when it switches to 2000, we all know that.
This special isn't as good as the first one, but it's alright.
Certainly has some nice songs and creative ideas, although I can see why it didn't become a holiday staple like the first one. By the time I got to Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July, I was already kind of worn out. There are only so many holidays Rudolph can cover. Also, while each of the first two Rankin Bass specials are under an hour in length, Christmas in July lasts 98 minutes. Plus, it's technically a crossover with Santa Claus is Coming to Town and The Year Without a Santa Claus, since Mickey Rooney reprises his role as Santa.
An epic crossover with 3 beloved Christmas icons and with a longer runtime? This is practically the Avengers Endgame of Rankin Bass.
It even has a cameo from Jack Frost, from both Frosty's Winter Wonderland and his then unreleased standalone special. It really is like Rankin Bass made their own cinematic universe, like what Marvel and DC would do decades later. Hopefully, being the culmination of 3 separate series of lore doesn't leave me too lost.
Millie! Chili!
Okay, Daddy. Here we come.
And I'm lost! Not even a minute in!
When did Frosty have kids? And more importantly, how did he have kids? Oh, sorry, I was too distracted pondering how snowman procreation works to notice that Rudolph's noses started flickering. I see they've downgraded from red skeleton to red buttons. After all, they shoot reindeer, don't they? Hey, at least they got Ethel Merman.
Or maybe it's a shell-shocked veteran who thinks he's Ethel Merman, I can't tell. Here comes Santa Claus, and this year's Christmas gift is exposition.
Long before I came to the North Pole, all this territory was ruled over by Winterbolt.
Winterbolt, as it turns out, was kind of a douche. Also, he's Saruman. But Lady Boreal, the Queen of the Northern Lights, puts a stop to him.
For years I have seen your malevolent cruelty. Stop this tyranny at once!
And he fell into a profound sleep of many, many winters. The good and gentle creatures returned to the north. And I suppose it was Lady Boreal's good grace which led me and my young bride to these Northlands. But Lady Boreal's monumental efforts had drained her of most of her magic and all of her strength. She knew her days as a human were numbered.
Are we gonna be quizzed on this? I gotta say, that's a lot of lore for a Rudolph special, a lot of background information you need to know before getting into the plot, and we haven't even gotten to Rudolph or Frosty yet.
And she became again the magic glow of the Aurora Borealis.
That's it?
No. Winterbolt wakes up, and upon the advice of his Genie of the Ice Scepter, which is something he has, I guess. Sure. He has his snow dragons create a horrible storm that will prevent Santa from delivering his toys. But Lady Boreal has one final act to help Santa, and... wait, tell me she's not...
I have so little magic left to leave thee. Use it wisely and well. The magic of the Northern Lights lives in thee.
We didn't need an explanation for why Rudolph's nose is red. We didn't need one. Why'd you give us one? Was that really a question people had in their minds? Surely Rudolph's nose being red is something that people can just accept as, you know, magic! Bet you didn't think I'd bring that joke back, huh? But hey, the movie expects us all to know so much about the Rankin Bass mythos that I'm sure they won't recap Rudolph's backstory yet again.
All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names.
You know, that was on me for expecting any different. Rudolph being the chosen one poses more questions than it answers. Like why Rudolph never told the other reindeer who were bullying him that his nose was literally given to him by the goddess of the Northern Lights. Hey, given that she's apparently well known over there, they'd probably believe him. Plus, she insists that he never uses power for bad, but isn't that a lot of weight to be placing on a literal infant who's probably not even an hour old? Also, this recap remembers Donner and Clarice, but it forgets about Hermie yet again! 0 out of 10, see me after class.
Hey, it's really going out.
Oh, thank God that's over. How many minutes in are we? 16? For the record, that flashback took 11 minutes and 47 seconds. If we do the math, almost 74% of the movie so far is exposition. Not counting the opening credits, which took up about 2.5 minutes on their own, so 80%. 80% of the film so far is either exposition or credits. I do have to sympathize with Rankin Bass. The writers there clearly have a thirst for telling bigger, more epic tales, which explains their work on the animated Lord of the Rings specials and The Last Unicorn. So it must suck to be a company known primarily for making holiday specials when they have aspirations for something more. But, I mean, remember when the first one was just Rudolph and his friends escaping the Bumble? This seems like quite the step up in terms of plot complication. Also, timing is everything, and if you're going to have a massive lore dump, it should be spread throughout the film instead of being shoved in at the beginning. Keep in mind, the average age of the people watching this special is probably 5 to 10. I doubt they want to keep up with all of that at the very beginning. Anyway, Rudolph's nose goes out, and it's so dramatic that the special treats it like he's dying. Don't worry, it immediately comes back. Plot point resolved, I guess. The catch is that for Rudolph's nose to be extinguished for good, he has to be tricked into using his powers for evil, but only outside the North Pole. Sure. Suddenly, Milton the Flying Ice Cream Man shows up, because he's also someone who exists, I guess? Sure. He keeps his stock at the North Pole, since apparently freezers don't exist in this universe. Seriously, no freezers and no headlights? What year is this? It turns out Milton isn't doing so well because he's in love with Lainey Lorraine, the star of the circus. But their wedding was called off because the circus fell on hard times and a rival showman named Sam Spangles is threatening to shut everything down.
And if her mom's show doesn't get a big audience on the 4th, It'll be sold to Sam Spangles on July 6th.
Once again, you can really tell how tragic it is by how Frosty and family keep smiling. Winterbolt uses his magic to give Milton the idea to make Rudolph the star of the circus, and then they decide to take Frosty and family, which could be a challenge for obvious reasons. Not to worry, as Winterbolt, posing as a friend, gives them all magical amulets.
It's frosty, crystal, millie, and chili. Wear them about their necks. They cannot melt. The amulet's magic only lasts until the final firework fades on the 4th.
Santa agrees to let Rudolph go to the circus, which is run by Lenny's mother Lily, voiced by musical theater legend Ethel Merman. Yeah, I haven't talked about the songs in this special yet because they've been pretty meh so far, not exactly Johnny Mark's best work, but Merman's presence does elevate her songs significantly. Sing it, Ethel!
As long as
Getting back to the plot, Winterbolt now sets off to find the anti-Rudolph.
Find me a reindeer as mean as Rudolph is kind.
He finds such a reindeer in the form of Scratcher.
Don't mention that name. I was all set to be one of Santa's reindeer when he...
Okay, hold on. Cut! Is it just me, or are there way too many characters in this? Looking at the cast, it's not that much bigger than the original film, but with that one, many of them are bit parts. With this one, every character is introduced, has a backstory, and it's like they're all competing for screen time. You know what really doesn't help matters? The fact that this movie has 3 villains. Yes, 3. We've barely even seen Sam Spangles yet. Whatever. Back to the good part.
chicken today and feathers tomorrow. Life is that way. There's some joy and some sorrow.
Ah, that's more like it. Santa and Mrs. Claus are headed to the parade, but they're trapped in a storm.
Ariel, look behind Ritual! It's a twister! It's a twister!
Damn, it's too late. How about a sappy love ballad to kill the mood?
I see rainbows when I look at you.
This is boring. What's happening at the parade? Ah yes, I remember when my local 4th of July parade came with free-floating head. That was the best part. Enough of this. Get back to Ethel.
Don't be afraid, you've got it made. If you don't let the parade pass you by.
Smile, Frosty. Lily says that in show business, you've got to keep smiling.
I'm pretty sure with the way his model is made, he literally can't stop smiling. Scratcher hits up Sam Spangles, remember him? And they put their plan into motion.
Hey, Rudolph.
Scratcher?
Oh, the big star remembers his old buddy.
We were never buddies.
That's for sure. I don't remember seeing you anywhere in the first special. Although it would actually be an interesting plot twist if Scratcher turned out to be Rudolph's old classmate Fireball from the first special. But that may require too much continuity, ironically enough. Hey, speaking of, what happens to the other reindeer that don't make it onto Santa's team? Does Santa just leave them homeless? But screw reindeer, Winterbolt has rain snakes! Yes, rain snakes. Yeah, I forgot to mention this, but Rankin Bass after the year without a Santa Claus but before Thundercats was known for being, how you say, trippy as hell. But you probably already figured that out.
To the top of the porch! To the top of the wall!
Till the sweat drops down my balls, till all these females crawl, till all skeet, 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 skeet.
Why is Santa continuing on the ground? Can't he just fly over the storm like Winterbolt is doing with his rain snakes? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Amazing Digital Circus! Scratcher tricks Rudolph into helping him find something in the dark.
Hey, this bag is filled with money. The night's receipts.
So we can take it to the bank and make a night deposit.
Well, okay.
I guess having a red nose kills off some of your brain cells, specifically the ones behind common freaking sense. Let's check back in on the circus.
Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop.
The Christmas party hop? At least it's not the jingle hop. Seriously, Jingle Bell Rock, you can't convince me that the jingle hop was a thing. I complain about Christmas advertising coming too early now, but in 1979 they apparently had a whole Christmas celebration in July, and the special didn't even air in July, it aired in November. Rudolph and Scratcher bring the money to Sam, dressed as a police officer.
Oh, thank you, me fine lad. Well,
off to the bank.
See, this wouldn't have happened if Rudolph was just taught the age-old lesson, all cops are bastards.
Don't want to miss the fireworks.
Miss him? I'd like to stop him.
Why do you want to stop them, Daddy? Aren't you patriotic?
Yeah, what are you, Frosty? Some kind of communist?
It's too late, as Lily already triggered the stock footage fireworks.
I can't stop them. Once the main fuse is lit, they keep going.
Well, that just seems like a safety hazard. But Frosty is still smiling through the pain. Lily finds out she was robbed, and Rudolph realizes he's been tricked.
I'm trying real hard.
You used your nose for an evil purpose. You robbed the money from the box office wagon and gave it to one Sam Spangles.
I feel like Hanlon's razor should apply here. You know, never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. Musical Hell brought up a similar point in her review, and I agree. Rudolph was duped. He should still totally be in the clear.
Look, he even takes the fall to protect Frosty and his family. That should be proof enough. Even Frosty finally stopped smiling for once. Winterbolt has one final trick up his sleeve. To give us another recap.
Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul.
Rudolph gets a visit from Lady Boreal, who gives him some advice. And then he gets a visit from Big Ben, who also gives him some advice. So there is continuity after all. Planning to create his own snowman army, Winterbolt steals Frosty's magic hat and renders Frosty lifeless. Except, I thought he had the amulet to keep him alive. So what was the hat for? At least this special remembered that Rudolph can fly. Well, the battle is done pretty fast. He takes Winterbolt down with one punch, nabs the hat, and doing a selfless act returns his nose magic.
I warn you, I will not be defeated! No! When the scepter dies, I go too. I turn into a tree.
Jeez, that is surprisingly creepy for one of these specials. Well done!
Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July, now with 20% more nightmare fuel. To celebrate, Rudolph and Frosty sing, "We're a couple of misfits?"
We're a couple of misfits. We're a couple of misfits.
What the hell? That's Hermes' song! It feels wrong to have anyone besides him sing it. I mean, what makes Frosty a misfit anyway?
There's no man like a snowman. Why don't I fit in?
What, just him being a snowman makes him a misfit? In this world, he fits in perfectly. Now, if he were an elf who wanted to be a dentist, that would be different.
Though I guess being a snowman does make him melt. At least we get the aforementioned Jack Frost cameo to help with that. Oh hey, Santa, you were completely irrelevant to the plot. Whatever. Sing us off, Ethel.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had a very shiny nose.
Well, that special was kind of a mess. Sure, it had creative ideas, but it had too many subplots, and it's not surprising that none of these characters appeared in a Rankin Bass special again after this.
Besides, I know what you're thinking. The 64 one is the best. There's no point in trying to top it, right? Well, you're wrong, because there's a 90s one, and it sucks! It's awful! Nah!
Okay, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's seriously hard to watch, in part because it includes not one, but two of my least favorite Christmas songs ever. Oh, Paul McCartney. How soon we forget. They would have used John Lennon, but he wouldn't stop singing about Vietnam and depressing everyone. Also, he was dead. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the movie.
Yep, the only movie, and definitely the movie everyone thinks of.
In this movie, Rudolph's mom actually has a name. It's Mitzi, which is obviously short for Mrs. Debbie Reynolds. Yeah, that's who voices her. And no, much to my sorrow, this Mitzi doesn't run an illegal speakeasy in the 1920s. Though, oddly enough, in this one, Blitzen is Rudolph's dad? But I thought Donner was Rudolph's dad. Mitzi, have you been sleeping around? Don't even know the true father of your son? Nothing wrong with having an active sex life, I'm just concerned. Should we get Reindeer Maury Povich on the case? Whoa, whoa, what's all this?
None of whom are on screen for some reason. Seriously, who are these people?
These dollar store Winx Club knockoffs are the sprites of the Northern Lights, who witnessed the birth of baby Jesus, I mean Rudolph. They don't really factor into the plot until 37 minutes in. Makes me wonder why they're even here apart from commenting on what's happening in the movie. Unlike Donner, Blitzen doesn't shove dirt on Rudolph's nose to cover it up, but he does stand around while the entire town mocks him.
What about his nose? What about the boy? He saw it all!
Hey, remember the iconic Hermie and Head Elf from the Rankin Bass special? Yeah, these ain't they.
You mean we won't be picking up the mail anymore?
That's small potatoes for exceptional elves like us.
Hi, Richard Simmons. Why are you in this again?
You'd think living in the North Pole would make you a better driver, but apparently not, as these two crash into this ice sculpture garden owned by the Ice Queen, Stormella. At least they do the right thing and fess up to it, right?
Maybe we should leave a note.
You numbskull! Then she'll know we're the ones who did it!
Of course they don't. We wouldn't have a plot if they did, would we?
How can I eat? That silly elf song is driving me crazy.
Those are the Pointer Sisters singing Christmas Town, by the way. Yes, those Pointer Sisters. Not that you'd be able to tell, it doesn't sound like their voices. For a movie that was released to theaters, the animation looks oddly cheap, especially in the song numbers, which are ripe with obvious animation loops. I'm not expecting Disney-quality animation, but it looks way more like something I'd see on TV than a theatrical release. But Stormella finally arrives, and she is not happy.
Which one of you warm-blooded pipsqueaks wrecked my ice scarf?
And yes, she is voiced by Academy Award-winning actress Whoopi Goldberg. And no, I don't know what dirt the filmmakers had on Whoopi, but I refuse to believe she signed on to this piece of crap because the script was just that good. Santa refuses to let Stormella prosecute Doggle and Boone, so she closes her ice bridge, which the movie tries to paint her as bad for doing, but honestly, she's entirely in the right. I'd be pissed too if Richard Simmons destroyed my property. Doesn't Santa have flying reindeer anyway? Why does he need the bridge? Also, yes, we all know that penguins only live at the South Pole, not the North Pole, but clearly this movie doesn't follow any semblance of logic.
It's only a matter of time before somebody crosses my bridge, and on that day, I will blow the storm that'll put Santa out of business forever, honey!
Why does she have to wait? If she doesn't like Santa, she should just do it anyway. Waiting until someone breaks the rules is completely arbitrary. Well, a year later, Rudolph goes to school, where all of the other reindeer... You know the drill. Cue the mocking.
Ruddy the Red-Nosed Reject ain't ever gonna be a flyer! Hey, Ruddy, try the circus instead!
Is that a serious suggestion? He already did in the last special! And why is Rudolph the target of everyone's bullying when this reindeer has a heart on his head? Shouldn't that be mocked too? Never mind that. Here comes Santa Claus, voiced by John Goodman.
We're all different on the outside, son. What really counts is what's inside our hearts.
It's weird hearing John Goodman play a nice character for once. He'd be more fitting playing the Rankin Bass Santa. That dude was way more of an asshole. The worst thing John Goodman Santa does is... sing.
Everybody's a somebody in Santa's family tree.
You're entering a world of pain.
It's also weird to see the elves singing Santa's Song of Acceptance when they were clearly taunting Rudolph earlier. Is consistency too much to expect from this movie?
Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
Well, we're done with that song. What's next?
Nope! Next scene!
The only reindeer who sympathizes with Rudolph is Zoe, who serves as the Clarice of this movie.
I liked your acceptance speech. You did? Want to take a walk?
Oh, they fucking. Oh, they fuck!
But Zoe's boyfriend Arrow comes to stop them in a scene reminiscent of the scene in the Rankin Bass special where Clarice's dad cockblocks Rudolph.
Hey, what's going on?
We were just talking, Arrow.
You look more like kissing to me.
While in the original scene, Clarice's dad is clearly in the wrong, here Arrow is completely right to be mad. Rudolph and Zoe were clearly about to start Frenching in front of him. Sure, he's a jerk, but he's right. Zoe, if you don't like him, just dump him. Oh well, after another time skip, Rudolph is ready to join the reindeer games. And let me tell you, in this movie, they're significantly more dangerous than the other ones. Injuries galore. What is this, Ben-Hur? But Arrow goads Rudolph into using his nose.
Zoe's only nice to you because she feels sorry for you.
You're disqualified for illegal use of a glowing red nose. You're banned from the rest of the games.
Again, I can't help but feel like Rudolph is in the wrong here.
Even if it wasn't deliberate, he clearly lit up his nose. He should be disqualified.
Why is this movie so set on painting Rudolph as a bad guy?
Oh well, cue forgettable love duet.
I'm out here on my own to face the day alone.
Okay, no, that is not Rudolph's singing voice. It's not even close!
I'm sure he'll notice you too, Zoe.
I'm lost out in the cold. I want someone to hold.
I know I made fun of the characters' singing voices in Monster Mash the movie, but even those are more convincing than this. It's especially bizarre because Rudolph's voice actress Kathleen Barr can sing, so I don't know why they didn't let her instead of giving her this obvious stand-in. Well, the sprites of the Northern Lights finally decide to do something in this movie and guide him to a cave, where he meets an Arctic fox named Slyly, who has some kind of accent.
Huh, I can read just like a book, kid. I found it voiced. Oh, a wise guy, huh? Well, prepare to be evicted. If the glass looks half empty, your family never understood you, your friends, they all turned their backs on you. You couldn't take it anymore, so you upped and you left.
I can't tell if he's trying to have a Brooklyn accent or a British accent. Who voices this guy anyway? Let me look this up. Wait, Eric Idle? From Monty Python? That Eric Idle? Well, that's random. Why take such a recognizable British comedian and then make him do this accent?
But enough of that, time for another song!
Yes, things could be better in this big uni voice, but remember it could always be voice.
Gee, Eric Idle singing a song about always looking on the bright side of life? Where have I seen that before? Also, where do these female foxes come from?
I think I prefer this Eric Idle Christmas song.
Fuck reindeer and fuck Rudolph with his stupid fucking nose.
Rudolph's parents notice that he's gone missing and they tell Santa.
Now, of these three options, I want you to guess what Santa does to find Rudolph. And go! Okay, time's up. Let's see what he does. That's right, it was option C! Because these two have clearly proven their reliability before, right?
Zoe is also searching for Rudolph, and she crosses Stormella's bridge like a friggin' idiot, giving Stormella the excuse to kidnap her and launch her storm. There's also a polar bear named Leonard, pointlessly voiced by Bob Newhart.
Oh, well, why didn't you say so in the first place?
Which makes this only the second best Christmas movie with Bob Newhart.
God, these later Rudolph movies have a real issue of having too many characters and having half of them do nothing in the story itself.
Speaking of which, 51 minutes in, Rudolph finally meets the sprites of the Northern Lights. Took him long enough.
Gosh!
The sprites tell him that Zoe's been nabbed, and he sets off with Leonard to find her. And apparently his nose is a freaking laser beam? When did this happen? Once inside, they hear Zoe's voice.
Nobody knows but Jesus.
It's her.
Nobody knows the trouble I see.
She's a bass.
Rudolph, I'm here to save you, Zoe.
And why, pray tell, does Stormella want to stop Christmas? And that's it! That's all the motivation you get! What, you expected actual character development? Why would they bother with that when they can't even be bothered to properly sync the mouth movements with the singing?
I'm sorry, if you think I'm being too nitpicky, maybe it's because you don't know about Good Times Entertainment, the company that made this film.
Good Times Entertainment was kind of the asylum of 90s cartoons. It was infamous for making direct-to-video knockoffs of Disney fairy tale movies. Which is fine, since Disney doesn't own the original fairy tales, and anyone can and should be allowed to do what they want with them. Except these were deliberately written to imitate Disney's style with similar characters, and were often released within mere months of those films. And this movie has that feel right down to the supporting cast. Stormella is Ursula, Slyly and Leonard have a Timon and Pumbaa thing going on. Mostly it copies characters and plot elements from the first Rankin Bass special. For a movie that purports to be a hard reboot of the Rudolph universe, it still oddly feels like a rehash of the 64 one. And it's not like you can't do more interesting things with Rudolph as a character. Pretty much every other special I've covered so far has proven that, so why does this feel so derivative? Even the songs feel like lesser copies of the originals. Christmas Town is just We Are Santa's Elves, Santa's Family is Jingle Jingle Jingle, Show Me the Light is There's Always Tomorrow. There's no Most Wonderful Day of the Year, but It Could Be Worse feels like a lesser We're a Couple of Misfits by Root of Monty Python. Normally I wouldn't spend so much time comparing this to the Rankin Bass version because there's no one way to tell a story, except this is so obviously trying to be like the Rankin Bass version that it's kind of hard to ignore. Well anyway, cue the storm.
This storm came out of nowhere, Chief.
Stormella. Someone must have crossed her bridge.
Because a storm can't just happen on its own, clearly it has to be Stormella. Slightly breaks them out, which randomly causes Stormella's hair to change color between shots. Oh no, they're cornered. What'll they do now? Wow, that's gotta be the most underwhelming villain death in movie history. Or at least it would be, but of course she's still alive, so now she has to grant them a wish. Wait, what?
He saved your life. Now you owe him a wish. Those are the rules of the North Pole.
Sure. One wish? Better make it count. So, what does Rudolph wish for?
I want you to be nice.
Ooh, cute little penguin.
Oh, brainwashing. What the hell kind of message is that? Mind control is okay as long as it's the good guys doing it? Even if they wanted to give Stormella a redemption, this could have easily been fixed. The whole reason Stormella was mad was because Doggle and Boone destroyed her ice sculptures, right? So just wish the sculptures back. Even if the sculptures were just an excuse for her, seeing him make a selfless wish could have easily given her a change of heart that doesn't involve literal coercion. Ah, who cares? It's too late to stop the storm anyway. That's another thing he could have wished for instead, but no! Well, you can guess what happens after that. Rudolph and Zoe come back and Santa gets his idea.
Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight?
With honor, your honor.
When did Santa become a judge? Whatever, he appointed Rudolph commander-in-chief in the first special. Nothing surprises me anymore. And Rudolph guides Santa's sleigh into the night, and they deliver the toys without a hitch. I think the most surprising thing about this movie is that it somehow had a $10 million budget! And the money clearly didn't go to the animation or the script, so I can only assume they blew it all on getting those celebrity voice actors. Like some Good Times executive was like, we'll just get John Goodman to voice Santa. Barton Fink is really popular with kids. And let's get Eric Idle and have him do a Brooklyn accent. Why not? And how about Whoopi Goldberg, too? And, who else do we have here? Debbie Reynolds, Bob Newhart, Richard Simmons? Yeah, whatever, throw him in, too. And while you're at it, get Paul McCartney and the Pointer Sisters on the soundtrack. With all those names, folks will have to watch this movie. Oh, damn it! Believe it or not, this wasn't even the only hard reboot of Rudolph in the 90s. The other one being this short film, Rudolph's Lessons for Life, from 1996. This one was apparently from Montgomery Ward itself, the company that created Rudolph. I guess it was their attempt to reclaim their creation, though it clearly didn't work because the company went bankrupt and closed down merely 5 years later. Like the Max Fleischer version, it's another direct adaptation of Robert L. May's story, but as you can see, it's returning to the roots of the Rankin Bass special by pointlessly starting with live-action footage.
This special story of Rudolph has been welcomed in classrooms by over 150,000 teachers and enjoyed by more than 5 million students across America.
Citation needed! Citation needed! I can't tell if the animation is bad, or if it's just a result of this being a low-quality 240p VHS rip of a special that's as old as I am.
It's a story that's been told a million zillion times or more.
You don't need to tell me twice. I've already had to sit through 5 of them. Santa Claus takes the helm for this one.
Sometimes the best gifts, goodness knows, can't be wrapped up in ribbons and bows.
Then what the hell did we spend all this time wrapping gifts for?
So let's start at the beginning.
That's usually where stories start.
Opened his eyes, looked in the mirror, and cried out in surprise.
Wow, what a nose! It's bright red and it glows.
Speaking in fully coherent sentences and glowing red? Sorry, Rudolph's parents, I think you got a demon baby on your hands. Better get a priest.
The power of Christ compels you!
Well, Rudolph grows older and the expected teasing commences. Wait, what's going on here?
Those reindeer weren't very considerate. And that, my friends, is just the tip of it.
Oh, now are we being quizzed?
When you're treated like that, what can you do?
Oh, I know this one. Burn down the prom and lock everyone inside.
At least Rudolph has not Clarice there to keep him company.
Knowing I'd be there soon, along with a sleigh full of bikes and books and video games.
For some reason, it's very jarring to hear a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer special mention video games. Does this imply that Santa's elves know computer programming?
Yo, Santa, check out this fog.
It's like a purple haze all in my brain.
If the fog slows me down, I'll just have to fly faster.
I'm pretty sure that's how you get into an accident. I'm just saying, you did almost hit an airplane a few specials ago.
The reindeer were nervous and started to whimper.
Hey, wouldn't overnight mail have been a lot simpler?
I was terribly worried, for what would I do if folks started waking before I was through?
Well, given that you already go around the entire world in 24 hours while making stops at every house, you clearly have warp speed or some kind of time travel abilities. What difference will a storm make? Apparently this special implies that Rudolph's nose is as bright as the sun? No wonder nobody wants to be around him, they don't want to go blind!
Stop it right now! That's unkind and cruel! Haven't you ever heard of the golden rule?
It's okay when it's in a three-way? Yeah, notice how Rudolph occasionally slows down to 5 frames per second? I'm not doing that, that's how the special comes.
So I can conclude that the animation is in fact bad. If you can call this animation, it's more like a PowerPoint slideshow.
In this special, Rudolph is the one who comes up with the idea of guiding Santa's sleigh, which I guess makes it a little better.
Wait! I bet I could save the day! With my bright spotlight nose, I'll lead the way.
The other reindeer thought the whole idea was absurd. But seeing my disappointment made the reindeer change their mood.
Wow, so this one makes it out like they only agreed for fear of Santa firing them, which is a reason not to be an asshole, but I really don't think that's a top priority.
And from that moment on, as you might well guess, Rudolph's idea was a shining success.
I'm glad that they liked him without a reminder, for if they didn't, I'd send them all to the meat grinder.
Being part of a team sure makes everyone strong. Makes each of us feel like we really belong.
Spoken like someone who never had a group assignment in school. It's more like one person does all the work and the others just reap the credit.
For it was clear to everyone in town that Rudolph was the most special reindeer.
Hey, could you adjust the audio levels? Maybe turn down the penguin talking? I can't hear what Santa's saying!
It's a telltale sign that a video has minimal effort put into it when they can't even be bothered to adjust the volume levels so they aren't overlapping and drowning each other out. See also my early reviews.
Rudolph held his antlers high and puffed his chest out proud. His nose glowed bright as ever as he addressed the big crowd.
It's not that big. I've played bigger crowds, but please, go on.
And standing here before you, it's my heart that glows, because my friends have learned to love me, and I've learned to love my nose.
I think Rudolph's story is the best one by far, about respecting and accepting others just the way they are.
Indeed. If you can't handle Rudolph at his worst, you don't deserve him at his best.
There's a word for that. It starts with the letter D. The word is diversity.
Careful. You can't mention diversity nowadays without a bunch of far-right YouTube grifters attacking you for being woke.
So from all of us to everybody listening,
may your holiday season be bright and glistening.
And that's the end, except not really, because the second half is an interactive version, which basically just entails playing the same special again, but occasionally cutting to kids in a classroom at random. Really, this special just felt like the Max Fleischer version, but a lot worse. At least that short was good for its time. There's a reason this special has been forgotten and isn't even mentioned on Wikipedia.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's all of them. Except, wait, I seem to recall another Rudolph movie.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Island of Misfit Toys? What the hell is this? This is weird. It's a 2001 special made by Good Times Entertainment, the company behind the '98 movie, but it doesn't follow the continuity of that film. It's a sequel to the Rankin Bass special. This would be like if Disney made a sequel to Hercules with the same director and some of the cast, but then it turned out it wasn't a sequel to their Hercules, but the Lou Ferrigno Hercules. You know, the one where he throws a bear into space?
I tell ya, if I had a nickel for every time Lou Ferrigno fought a bear, I'd have 2 nickels. And I do mean this is a sequel to only the original Rudolph special, completely disregarding the other sequels. What do you know? It predicted the modern wave of horror sequel reboots. I guess it is horror in its own way. Gah! No, what the hell? This is the worst looking animation of all of them. Legit, every other special I've reviewed today looks better than this. Yes, even Rudolph's Lessons for Life. Yes, even the other Good Times movie. I know this was 2001 and we can't expect it to look as good as CGI does now, but Shrek and Monsters, Inc. both came out the same year and they look way better than this. Is it so jarring because of the transition from stop motion to CGI? Well, why not just do stop motion? That's still an option. My copy of the film came with a behind-the-scenes featurette where director Bill Kowalczyk talks about the use of CGI, and he keeps using terms like realistic and revolutionary. It's kind of sad to watch, really.
We had 27 expert animators blend their art with technology to add an exciting new dimension to the classic Rudolph. It's important because it all contributes to achieving a convincing 3D effect from a number of different camera angles, taking him and all his friends from the flat world of 2D to the amazingly realistic realm of 3D digital animation. After months of research and discussions with top stop-motion studios around the world, we decided that digital 3D was the only way to bring our new Rudolph to the screen.
Yeah, it was definitely a conscious artistic decision, and totally not because we were too cheap for Aardman or Leica.
But you know, I can look past bad CGI as long as the writing is up to par, so let's give this a watch. Okay, no, I'm sorry. I can't look past this. I mean, what the hell?
The narrator in this special is a snowman named Scoop, just like how the first special was narrated by a snowman. But trust me, you won't be getting Scoop confused with Sam.
As we say in the North Pole, that was just the tip of the iceberg. I've got a nose for news. Ain't it a beaut? Big hit at barbecues, too.
Sir, I knew Sam the Snowman. Sam the Snowman was a friend of mine. You, sir, are no Sam the Snowman.
Apart from Bill Kowalczyk directing both, the only connection between this and the 90s movie is that Kathleen Barr reprises her role as Rudolph.
My pleasure, Santa.
And well-known anime voice actor Scott McNeil voices both Hermie and Yukon Cornelius.
Behold, the wonders of the Toothmobile.
Well, what are we waiting for? Wahoo!
To their credit, both voice actors managed to do good impressions of the original characters. But, of course, the real talents are the celebrity voice actors. Richard Dreyfuss, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Rick Moranis in his first film appearance since going on hiatus in 1997.
To break a 4-year hiatus from acting for this movie? Damn, the script must have been great, right? Right?
They even got Tony Bennett to sing the theme song. That's a good sign. They learned nothing from the '98 movie about budget allocation and once again blew it all on big names. Once again, if this takes place after the first special, why did they de-age Rudolph back to his younger self? It's even worse here because at least in the Rankin Bass sequels, Rudolph was mostly shown in isolation or next to humans. But here, he looks noticeably smaller than the other reindeer. The hell? He was almost as tall as his dad at the end of the original. Speaking of size differences, look at how short the elves are. I know Rick Moranis was in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but did he shrink the elves too? Seriously, they're like 2 feet tall. They're so tiny. What the hell? Look at the Bumble. Look at the Bumble! I understand that most computer graphics couldn't properly render fur by then, but I get the sense that this looked bad even for 2001. The best part is that the director doesn't even try to defend the effects on the Bumble, and it's just like, it's as good as it's ever gonna get.
We separated Bumble from the rest of the scene, so the rest of the characters, the rest of the background were done without Bumble. Bumble was rendered separately and then composited as a flat 2D bitmap over the background. In test after test, his fur kept showing through in all the wrong places.
The main plot of this movie is that toys around the world keep getting taken by a mysterious new villain known as the Toy Taker. Wow, creative name! Almost as creative as his design, which looks like if I tried to draw Orko from He-Man from memory. Wow, must have been a slow day for the news, huh? I mean, toys getting taken around the world? That's the headline? Given that this was 2001, I'd like to believe that this was a top story and 9/11 was just a footnote. A side plot follows Rudolph being a celebrity because of his nose and constantly being asked to do tricks, which makes him hate his nose and want to get rid of it.
Come on, Rudolph! Chase it!
I tell you what, that reindeer in the back is tripping balls. The edibles have kicked in. He's flying!
Blow your nose, Rudolph.
Come on, champ! Let's see the trick with the disco ball!
Guess I'm just a novelty act around here. I'd give anything for a normal nose.
Because there's no character development quite like complete character regression.
Let's just ignore the entire point of the first special, ending with him learning to accept his nose. I mean, fame being a double-edged sword is certainly not a bad message for kids to learn. And look, as a guy who gained 1,000 subscribers over a few days back in 2020, I understand that even a little fame can have a lot of unexpected pressures. Why do you think I temporarily took down the Van Halen 3 video? But this special doesn't even remotely dive into that beyond the surface level. Maybe Hermie has some words of encouragement.
Keep your chin up, keep your shoulders back, and face the world with pride.
And I should probably take this time to talk about the songs in this movie.
So, much like the '98 film, this is pretty bad so far. But hey, they are bringing back the characters and universe from the original Rankin Bass special. Surely they'll do something new with it this time, right? Once again, even the songs are worse copies of the originals. Keep Your Chin Up is just We're a Couple of Misfits. The Island of Misfit Toys is The Most Wonderful Day of the Year. The Best Christmas Ever is A Holly Jolly Christmas. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is Rudolph the friggin' Red-Nosed Reindeer! Even outside of the animation, this movie goes on my crap list just for its lack of originality. There are so many new and creative things you can do with Rudolph as a character and with the original universe. And this is the best they could come up with? Hell, this makes the '98 movie look original. At least that one attempted to build an original new world. As I mentioned, they arrive at the Island of Misfit Toys, which is suddenly fully populated again. What happened? Didn't Santa deliver all the Misfit toys at the end of the first film? The only good part about this scene is that it does give us the one decent joke in the movie.
You think you've got problems, mate? I'm the boomerang that doesn't come back!
After a very tedious scene where Hermie gives King Moonracer a root canal, Santa hears about the toy taker and locks up all his toys, while putting 2 toys in charge of guarding them. What flawless logic! Almost as flawless as having a giant skylight that automatically opens up for the toy taker to steal all the toys. Spooky stuff. Of course, the biggest scare in the movie is that Hermie is straight! Ah!
We found out that Hermie, the shy little elf, was crazy about the Tooth Fairy.
You've got a crush on the Tooth Fairy?
And her teeth are perfect.
Do you want to bang her teeth? What the hell is wrong with you?
It's also really weird that there's now a whole academy for elf dentists when Hermie's entire plot in the first special was that elves weren't supposed to be dentists. Like, he's the first one. Who are all the other elves graduating? Oh no, Hermie crashed into an iceberg. Oh my god, those effects look so convincing. They find themselves on the island of Queen Camilla, who performs what I can only describe as plastic surgery for toys.
A little plastic here, a little stuffing there, some absolutely genuine for blonde hair, so beautiful. I make them beautiful.
So,
defenders of this special tend to cite the subplot with Queen Camilla as proof that the special isn't actually that bad, and it's actually really deep, and the haters just don't get it. And I'll admit that having a toy plastic surgeon who takes toys and fixes them could be a good counterpoint to the Island of Misfit Toys if it were well developed.
But the word if is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Because it's not well developed, it just exists as a place in this universe and shows up again once later in the film. That's it. There's no greater point it's making about changing yourself to be different. Camilla isn't found to be wrong at the end, and it barely ties into the main plot about the toy taker. The only attempt to connect it with the rest of the plot is that she asks Rudolph if he wants to fix his nose, and that lasts less than a minute.
I've waited my whole life for this chance, Hermie.
But what if it's another foggy Christmas Eve?
Santa can't afford headlights, darling?
That's what I've been saying.
And the subplot is literally solved in the next scene anyway.
I won't be so famous after I get my nose fixed, and we can be happy and...
I love your nose. And everything about you.
You do?
Why did we need this scene? We already established in the original movie that Clarice likes Rudolph, even with his nose.
I think it's a handsome nose. Much better than that silly false one you were wearing.
There's also this subplot that Clarice doesn't know how to fly. Somehow. It matters about as much to the plot of the movie as a plastic surgery island. You may think this is leading to her joining Santa's team, but nope, not even acknowledged at the end. Uh-oh, I've been on the internet long enough to know where this is going. But Santa discovers he's been robbed.
He took everything every single toy we made.
And even the toys guarding the toys!
Yeah, that was kind of a stupid decision, wasn't it? Ah, my favorite book, fake Latin filler text. Comic Sans! Rudolph, Hermie, Clarice, Yukon, and the Bumble set off for the island of Misfit Toys. You know, the place that the film is named after but only appeared in 6 minutes so far? Yeah, almost forgot about it. The toy taker then explains the motivation for his evil plans.
Well, what was wrong with our old homes?
They were infested with children. And children may love toys at first, but it's a fickle love that never lasts.
Everybody got that? I'm a wonderful guy. I'd never treat a toy the way those children do.
As far as villain songs go, this is aight. It's better than the villain song from the '98 movie, for whatever that's worth. They go to Camilla's island, but all too late.
Oh, that toy taker took all my beautiful toys. I feel so unfabulous.
Good lord, what the hell am I watching? How has it come to this? The heroes disguise themselves as toys and chase down the toy taker. And to say that this chase scene is drawn out is the understatement of the year. It lasts over 10 minutes, but somehow feels twice as long.
This is it. This is the worst Rudolph movie.
After sitting through all 7 of these films, this is the worst one. It's awful. I would be more upset by this, but I think I've just gone completely numb to the entire thing. I mean... Oh yes, Rudolph. Drive that minecart. Dodge those bombs with their convincing explosions. Doesn't look like a PS1 game at all. Fly that Zeppelin, Hermie. Fly it. Hope nothing bad happens. Oh yeah, also the toy taker is just a teddy bear. Yeah, he's just a teddy bear who was thrown out by the kid who took care of him. That's the big twist of the movie. I would give it credit for predicting the villain from Toy Story 3, but this is clearly just rehashing Jesse's backstory from Toy Story 2, like nearly shot for shot. So yeah, the moral of the story? I don't know. If you like something, recycle it. Like how the filmmakers recycled the first Rankin Bass special and mixed it with Toy Story 2. Nice one.
And that's it. Those are all the Rudolph specials.
Apart from occasionally showing up in commercials, Rudolph and the Island of Misfit Toys was, to my knowledge, the last time that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer ever appeared on screen.
And given the character's origins, doesn't that feel somewhat fitting?
Watching these specials has made me realize that, in a way, Rudolph as a character perfectly represents the dichotomy of Christmas in America. Rudolph is a beloved Christmas icon who continues to capture the hearts of children and is almost as closely associated with the holiday as Santa Claus himself, and he was created for a department store to sell coloring books. Rudolph's stories have become classics and are ingrained in the modern Christmas mythos, but the character is copyrighted, and no one can tell their own story about him or even mention him without paying the owners, and who even knows who those are given that Montgomery Ward shut down in 2001. It's sad. I'm sad. This sucks.
Well, that's depressing. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go drown my sorrows in a bottle of eggnog. Merry Christmas, you sick bastards. Wait, I just realized. Rudolph has antlers, but male reindeer lose their antlers in early December, while females keep theirs throughout winter. So... oh my god. Rudolph was a girl all along. But that means... I'm gonna regret this, but I just have to know.
Son, are you okay?
Elf practice!
Hey guys, thanks a ton for watching. Sorry this video took forever to come out. I actually started working on it in October and I was aiming to release it on time, but then I got really sick and then my microphone died, so that was a lot of fun. Plus, I've had a ton of copyright claims to deal with. You know how YouTube is. But anyway, if you like this video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, support me on Patreon, all that stuff. Plus, I'll be putting out some new music later this year, so look out for that. Otherwise, catch you next time.